Hey everyone! First, let me apologize for the state of my current appearance. I know I'm a bit scruffy looking and various other things. It's been kind of a rough couple of months, and I meant to get this video done sooner, a lot sooner, and I just never did. So I'm doing it now, and I really don't have a lot of time before I need this to go up, so kind of scrambling, didn't really have time to prep myself or anything like that, so yeah, this is what you got, sorry. As for the video itself, as the title suggests, today I wanted to take a look at my top 5 favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt retools, because as we all know, well, not we all, but as a lot of people who pay attention to the toys and the official toys and the fandom and all that are aware, Combiner Wars Silverbolt got retooled quite a bit. So I thought it might be fun to look at my favorites that have come out since that original figure. I do have to do a couple of honorable mentions before we get into the list proper, so it's just a couple. But I mean, obviously there's the original official Combiner Wars Silverbolt and the Unite Warriors versions. I never actually owned Combiner Wars Silverbolt, I owned the Unite Warriors version specifically, and I thought it was pretty cool for what it was. Also, that torso transformation is amazing, and I love it. But other honorable mentions also include, obviously, Scattershot, either Unite Warriors or Combiner Wars version, because they made it look a little different. Doesn't look like a Concorde jet, really. It sort of evokes Scattershot's original G1 Cybertronian vehicle mode, though the nose should have been a lot bigger, a lot thicker. And then there's also Combiner Wars and Unite Warriors Cyclonus, which I thought, yeah, it's an obvious Silverbolt retool, but it was kind of cool as a way for them to bring Cyclonus into Combiner Wars and also work Galvatron into it as well, because he turned in his torso mode, and that's, what was it, Galvatronus or something like that? Great Galvatronus? Great Galvatron? I don't remember. But I thought it was a cool idea. Now, for the 5th figure on this list, yes, we're getting into the list proper, I regrettably don't own this figure anymore. I did at one point, and then sold it off, and just haven't gotten it back since. So yeah, my apologies, I do not have this figure on hand to hold up in front of the camera, but I can put up a picture. Number 5 of my favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt retools it's gotta be Power of the Prime's Hunger. I thought they did some really interesting things with the general idea of turning the Silverbolt mold into something else. And yeah, the basic flavor is there, but like the transformation's a bit different. They added a lot of new parts. And the torso mode, I feel like what they did with the chest plate and all that stuff was not necessarily more interesting than what they did with Silverbolt, but it was still really cool. And it's one of those things where I feel like the average person, if they were to see the two figures, may not even pick up on the fact that they're based on the same skeleton. That's why that is number 5. Number 4 is a bit of a harsh turn, but my 4th favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt retool is Legacy Motormaster. I thought they did some really cool stuff, a lot of really interesting ways to kind of rework the Combiner Wars Silverbolt engineering. Like, you still have the legs that kind of curl up around the torso, but they did a whole lot of new stuff with the arms and the legs themselves. Just the way they transform is really interesting. And yeah, this guy also looks really great with repro labels, by the way. But yeah, I mean, he still turns into a Combiner torso, albeit slightly differently. And yeah, I think this is a really worthwhile remold of Silverbolt. My number 3 all-time favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt remold is maybe a little bit of a surprise to people, maybe not, because this is also probably, I can't say my favorite figure of all time, but it is the one that means the most to me, and that is G1 Bumblebee. This was the figure that got me into collecting Transformers way back when I was like 3 or 4 years old. Maybe even been younger than that, I don't know. But yeah, it's really incredible just how much they managed to rework Combiner Wars Silverbolt's design into this figure that came out like 30 years beforehand. I don't know how they did it, But it's pretty cool how they did it. Like, you really can't tell that this comes from Combiner Wars Silverbolt. It's really cool. Now, my number 2 favorite, again, it's kind of a bit extreme, especially because they went to some great lengths to really change up the mold, but it's still, at its heart, Combiner Wars Silverbolt. So yeah, number 2 favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt retool is Legacy Titan Class Metroplex. And again, it's just really amazing how much they managed to rework that Silverbolt mold into something like this. And like, they made this thing huge too. Like, it really blew up really well, you know? It holds up well. They redid the joints, obviously, because they had to. But like, it's really amazing just how transformative, if you pardon the pun, the job they did on this retool was. And this is a hefty boy. It's nice to see that Combiner Wars Silverbolt is still getting some kind of use and love. Like, that core design is just getting love this many years after its release. Now, my number 1 favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt retool is, once again, it's kind of out there, but this one I chose as number 1 because it really goes far with the Silverbolt mold. Like, what they did with this was really impressive. Like, I could not imagine how they came up with this, but they did, and it's amazing how well it works. I don't know, I'm just gonna get right to it. My absolute favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt mold retool from the Silverbolt mold is Power Rangers Mystic Force Titan Megazord, or Magi King from Magi Ranger. This is my favorite, or mechanically I guess it is my favorite Super Sentai set to date. I just love the individual bits. I love the way they come together as a dragon and as the Megazord. I love how the weapon comes together. I love that you've got the extendable wings. And it's still just, I know I've said this to all of them, but like with this guy especially, it really blows my mind how they managed to take the design, that core design for Combiner Wars Silverbolt, and turn it into something like this. I mean, it breaks apart into 5 component pieces that can themselves either attach in different ways to make a completely different thing, or become their own individual, not really robots per se, but like their own individual figures with limited articulation and stuff. But I feel like that's understandable given everything that this has to do. And yeah, just the idea that this thing came from Combiner Wars Silverbolt, it amazes me more than any of the other figures on this list. But yeah, that is gonna do it. That has been my look at my top 5 all-time favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt retools. So, let me know what you all think. What are your favorite Combiner Wars Silverbolt retools, or your favorite retools of other molds in the Transformers line, whether it's Hasbro or Takara, whatever, because there have been a lot of retools and redecos over the years for a lot of different figures. It's just, you know, Combiner Wars Silverbolt has been used for the basis for like 80% of the figures that have come out since its initial release, and probably about 50% of the figures that came out before its release, going all the way back to the 80s. It's really weird how they did that, right? But yeah, just let me know what your favorites are. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you all next time.